Hi everyone, welcome to Odie and Chill. I'm Jodie, the Managing Director for Overdose New Zealand, and Odie and Chill is where we get the opportunity to talk to a retailer or tech partner, and I'm so excited to say that we've got Mandy from Laybuy on Odie and Chill today. Welcome Mandy, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Despite our technical issues, we're all here.
We would think we would have nailed this by now, considering how long we've been managing conversations via video, but no.
Yeah. Welcome. It's really great to have you. So just quickly for the audience, we're broadcasting live on YouTube and LinkedIn. So we'd love to have some questions or some comments. So feel free just to drop them through and we'll feed them in as we're chatting. But I just wanted to hand over to Mandy, actually. And Mandy, for you to give us a little bit of an overview of who you are as the GM of Laybuy.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. So as Jodie said, my name's Mandy and I'm currently the GM of Laybuy for Australia and New Zealand. So I've been with Laybuy for just over 18 months, which is actually 50% of the time that we've been in business, which is a bit crazy. But so my background is predominantly retail. So I've been in retail pretty much my whole life. So I started pretty much have done every role you can imagine. I started at the Just Group, working, predominantly in women's business, Dottie and Portman's, spent some time at JJ's, and then was part of the launch of the Smiggle brand into New Zealand and then into the UK. And then after that, spent 5 years as the GM at Overland Footwear, working across those three brands and that incredible team. And I think, whilst I was at Overland, sort of buy now, pay later sort of really hit the market, and I became absolutely fascinated with what was happening. I could see customer adoption. I could see, when we were doing different things across our websites, or, when store managers in store were driving it, I was really starting to see some interesting things happening to sales. So that kind of led me to where I am now, which is always a little bit bizarre, sitting on this side of the world. I never thought I'd be on the payments tech side. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and I'm lucky enough to work across multiple different retailers now, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. So as a buy now, pay later, I guess, you've seen heaps of growth in that space over the last few years. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Laybuy and kind of how Laybuy operates and what makes it a little bit different to the crowd, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there is a crowd. So Laybuy is a buy now, pay later, as you mentioned. So we were founded in New Zealand in 2017. So we're just shy of 5 years old, so still relatively new. So we launched into the New Zealand market. Gary Roloff and his family founded the business. Gary's another retailer through and through, and sort of could see the opportunity in the market, but also could see the opportunity for, I think, Alex and his children around wanting to buy product now and have it now. So he launched the brand into New Zealand very quickly after that, into Australia. And then in 2018, we went to the UK, which is our biggest growth market. So we've been operating for just almost 5 years now. We are a buy now, pay later. We are a weekly payment model. So a customer can buy their product now, get it now, and pay it across 6 weekly installments. We never charge any interest. So we've had, one heck of a ride, as buy now, pay later has in general. But I think for us in the last couple of years, we've obviously really ramped up our growth across all three markets. But also we launched on the ASX, in the middle of a pandemic, because why wouldn't you? It's been one heck of a ride. So I think for Laybuy, in regards to the rest of, our competitors, we definitely offer a weekly payment cycle. We have we work across e-com and in-store, and we have a virtual card that we launched into the market about within the last year across all our markets. We have some product features from a consumer side. We have a product called Laybuy Boost, which means, you know, if you want to spend over your limit, you know, with a merchant, you can do that in your first purchase. You know, we like to consider ourselves the responsible buy now, pay later, and that's really our ethos. That's what we're focused on, is how do we do this and how do we do it in a responsible way. So we affordability check our consumers when they come on board with us, and we assign them a limit that we think that they can manage, and we monitor that constantly. So our merchants know that we're taking really good care of our consumers. We have, you know, we don't charge any transaction fees. And we also have a product called Laybuy Global, which allows merchants to, you know, use Laybuy and transact in other markets as well. So, and we're New Zealand, we're Kiwi born, which is pretty exciting. You know, so we have definitely got a fun spirit to us, and are still pretty small and nimble in the way that we operate.
Yeah, that's cool. It's been a massive journey, really. I think 5 years ago to now, and everything that you're offering. And I guess, you know, what has that digital journey been like for you? I mean, it's obviously massive, and listing as well is huge, but what has that journey sort of in general been like for you?
Yeah, I think for us, you know, we're still relatively new in the market. So we were probably lucky enough that when we launched, you know, digital was at the forefront of what we were doing from the beginning. I think, you know, for us, we very quickly launched our app after our, you know, site went live. So I think for us, probably the journey is just continuing to listen to our customers and learn from their behaviors, making sure that we are where they want us to be, thinking about, you know, how we communicate, not just the traditional methods, you know, looking at in-app messaging and SMS and push notifications, and just really challenging ourselves, I guess, to be where they want us to be. I think, you know, being as part of the pandemic as well, you know, you've seen huge digital commerce growth. So I think for us, it's allowed us to tap into different demographics of customers, but also open up different verticals as well. So I think it's a constant evolving journey, but I think it's one that's probably always been there. I think probably the biggest thing for us is, you know, we're a business that, you know, when I started with the business 18 months ago, we had, I think, 37 team. And now as a group, we're about to hit 110, and it'll probably be 120 within a week. So I think for us, from a digital perspective, it's even been learning how to work, you know, across multiple markets. And in the middle of the pandemic, I think I was in the business 3 weeks before the first lockdown. So luckily enough, I got to meet my team, but, you know, we've had to onboard so many of our team and you know, digitally and learn how to communicate and build a culture that way. So that's probably been, you know, one of the biggest challenges. I mean, we're right in the midst today of something we call Laybuy Mania, which is like a big sales frenzy that we do with our merchants and our consumers every 6 months. And usually it's like one heck of a party in the office as we celebrate that day. But, you know, being at home, we're all featured in Laybuy Mania t-shirts today, trying to continue to kind of build that excitement, but we're all doing it from home. So that's definitely been one of the challenges, but, you know, something you learn from every day, I guess.
I appreciate you taking a few minutes out to talk to me, especially about the craziness that's going on. Laybuy Mania is huge. I know that. You know, merchants love it. Obviously, customers love it. You know, it's a really cool opportunity. So your growth into the UK, I'm interested in that though, because that's been exponential, right? That's been huge. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, I guess, what have you learned from moving into the UK? Because it's a super different market to you know, the market over here. What's kind of been the key things that you've learned about the UK in Europe?
Yeah, it's been an enormous you know, learning curve and such exciting growth for us. I mean, Q1 of this year, we're up, you know, 107% year on year. You know, we've got, you know, over 500,000 consumers now in the UK, and work with some of the biggest merchants. You know, we work with the likes of Boohoo and JD Sports and the Hut Group, and we just launched Fragrance Shop not that long ago. So it's been an amazing experience. I think if we look at it, in New Zealand and Australia, we kind of really were the home of buy now, pay later. We were sort of where it was founded. So I think as we kind of developed in these markets, you know, a lot of our merchants understood the concept and how it worked and how they could utilize it. Where I think for the UK, it's still not quite at the maturity that ANZ's at. So I think for us, it was not only the challenge of educating on the brand, but it was also educating on buy now, pay later in general and how it works. So that was probably one of the biggest challenges for us. But we've had some amazing brands and some amazing advocates, and you can see from the growth that that's really starting to pick up now. So that was probably the biggest challenge. And again, like I said, it's learning how to scale and have executives and teams all in different markets, and how we, keep that close-knit family vibe, whilst we sort of spread out in all different time zones and all different challenges. But it's been a heck of a ride. We just launched about a month ago now our app exclusive affiliate program into the UK, where consumers can now use Laybuy on major brands like Amazon, etc., which has also been enormous for us. So it's a pretty exciting time for us in the UK, and it's so nice. Obviously, the lockdown restrictions starting to ease. So also to have a look at in store. We launched our virtual card, our tap to pay card into the UK. Alongside MasterCard. So, working at getting Laybuy present in store and really starting to drive up that in-store presence is also pretty exciting for us.
Yeah, that's great. It's a good time, actually. Like you say, they'll come up lockdown in Europe. So it's kind of it's perfect time coming into the Christmas season as well. People will be shopping.
And they want to be out in stores. So it's good timing for us.
Yeah. And so it's interesting you touched on there, trying to keep the family vibe when you've got everyone, sort of overseas and working remotely. We're the same, obviously, having heaps of offices overseas. So how do you go? I'm curious, how are you guys doing? How do you maintain that kind of level of contact and that everyone still stays with the culture of Laybuy, even though they're in different offices? How do you guys do it?
Yeah, look, it's not always easy. I think, we use Slack and different kind of communication channels. We have, weekly kind of meeting rhythms and cycles, and we have, stand-up meetings that we talk through kind of what we're focusing on and how we're going, and get excited and highlight merchants. We record that for the different markets and we kind of turn that around. So I think it's a constant challenge, and especially when you're working alongside different time zones. And I've been with a business before that was Australasian based and been on the other side of it, working in the UK, and I know how sometimes challenging that can be. So I think it's just keeping up communication, and sharing as much fun as we can, and trying to keep things consistent as much as we can across all markets. And it's hard. Usually you'd be getting together at least a few times a year and getting the opportunity to be in person. But, we're just having to find other ways of doing that. So it's not easy, but, I think it's just something we continue to work at and learn from. And, it gets better every day. Yeah,
that's cool. It's ever evolving, right?
Yeah.
And it's, well, hopefully one day we can travel a little bit again.
So. With the benefits, right? Because you also have 24/7 coverage. We have our customer support team. We have a team in New Zealand and a team in the UK. So your merchants and your customers also getting 24/7 kind of attention as well. So it really has its benefits. But yes, I'm with you. I cannot wait to get on a plane.
It's been a while. Hey, so your merchants, you've got how many merchants do you guys have now? Because a little while ago, spoke to you, it was this number, and now it's kind of growing. What's your merchant number looking like now?
Yeah, so we're globally over 10,000 now, which is pretty exciting.
Wow.
So yeah, it's and that number is growing all the time. So it's amazing. We're working across so many different verticals and with so many different makeups of merchants, franchisee to, publicly to privately owned. So there's a real mixture across that. It's been amazing. So it's really fun.
And is there a particular kind of industry that's grown more than the other? Thinking about like the last couple of years, especially with up and down and lockdowns and people shifting really to e-commerce and, buying online. Has it been a specific kind of growth industry from your perspective?
Yeah, there definitely has. I think, we've been in a fortunate position with the growth of e-commerce in general, that buy now, pay later probably across most sectors is growing, which is really great. And, a lot of fun for me to be able to look at the different verticals and understand kind of what patterns are happening. But I think, you've seen trends in the market in every kind of industry, obviously homewares and garden and electronics and those, industries related directly, to the pandemic and people being at home. You're seeing a lot of those industries that are really starting to come on board, but also you're seeing industries that are also having a tough time right now, but are looking at other, opportunities and ways to speak to their customers and different avenues. So even, travel and events and these type of verticals are starting to really embrace buy now, pay later, which is really exciting for us.
Yeah, that's cool. I think you're right. It's those industries that you traditionally wouldn't have necessarily bought online that all of a sudden when you're at home and you're looking whether you're going to renovate or sick of your furniture or whatever it be, then, people are starting to take that little bit of a shift, which I think we've seen the same thing, which is really cool. And I guess just in general, has COVID or pandemic or lockdowns affected the business in any other way? Any sort of insights that you might not have had before, or any sort of learnings that you might not have potentially come across before?
Yeah, look, I think it's probably impacted our business in every way, to be honest. But I think, look, there's no doubt from a, consumer perspective, New Zealand alone in the last 12 months as e-com has grown, 25%. You're looking at global trends like the US that have brought e-commerce sales forward 10 years within the last 3 months. So I think, in general, you've seen a shift to e-commerce. You've seen a massive uptake in buy now, pay later across, all different kinds of industries, but also across all different kinds of demographics of consumer as well. So when, buy now, pay later kind of originally came into the market, it really was targeted at your millennial, want it now type consumer. But you're also getting, an increase in buy now, pay later across all age groups, and those older demographics. So you're starting to see, different verticals open up and different consumers open up, which has been amazing. I mean, I think 306,000 Kiwis who shopped during the pandemic online for the first time ever. So you are seeing those kinds of opportunities open up in all different levels. So I think that's, been a huge focus for us. I think you've seen some consumer mindset shift as well. I think when buy now, pay later sort of first came into the market, it was really about, a budgeting tool. And now you're also seeing it being used as, a cash flow management tool, I guess. There's so much uncertainty in the economy right now. So it's, what I can actually afford to buy that product up front, but I'm going to pay it off in 6 because it actually, makes me feel more comfortable to have that money in my wallet for a little bit longer. So you're seeing a lot of those kinds of trends come up. And as you mentioned, you're seeing brands and verticals, some of the stories of some of the merchants who have, never traded online and have had to build a website and launch e-commerce like in the middle of a pandemic, are just phenomenal. So we're seeing, different verticals open up and different opportunities. And I think, but I think in general, learning how to be a business that works from home and building a culture, especially when you're growing rapidly at the rate you are in terms of headcount, how we, onboard our teams, etc. It has also, changed and something we need to be really conscious of thinking about. I mean, being, where our consumers want us to be when they want to talk to us and where we want to be, I think is another thing. So I think every aspect of our business has grown, but I also think, never underestimate the power of in-store either. I think that's coming back with a vengeance. The death of bricks and mortar is certainly not the case. So I think for us, it's also how do we, from a buy now, pay later perspective, support our merchants in e-com, but also in store, and help grow, and how do we connect those two? Click and collect is rapidly growing at huge rates. So how do we connect and play in that space and make sure we're offering our consumers a really streamlined experience? So lots of learnings. But I think we're probably better for it, which is good.
That's some really good insights actually, and especially around the demographic growth, as in the slightly older demographic taking on the likes of, say, Laybuy. So that's super fascinating. I guess I'm curious, are they still shopping? Are they still using Laybuy as a service now that, I just wondered if that would kind of grow and, come and go as people, stores are open and close. So that's actually really cool to see that, hey, this is a new way of purchasing and I'm comfortable with it and I'm staying with that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they are. And they see, how easy the experience is. And so then they continue on with that. So, yeah, absolutely. And exciting for us. And it's been, our sales teams have, risen to that challenge of making sure we, expose new brands, that can cater to that demographic as well. So, yeah, that's been a lot of fun. And I think that will continue to grow. You're seeing buy now, pay later grow in usage across all demographics. And so that's pretty exciting.
Cool. And I guess, thinking, so 5 years, it's been a wild ride to get here. You listed as well. What's the future hold? Obviously more growth in markets, maybe, more growth in merchants, but what else does it hold?
Yeah, this is always such a hard question to answer when you're listed. So I've got to be careful about what I say. But look, I think I will say, yeah, you've nailed it. I think if I think about the last even 18 months and I've been with the business, we've really ramped up growth in our existing markets. We've launched, a digital bigger digital presence. We've launched our virtual tap to pay card. We've launched and that across all 3 markets. We've now launched our affiliate program into the UK. So I think you can expect more product innovation, more growth and more brands. So we are product led and very, focused on making sure we continue to innovate and listen to our customers and make sure that we're catering to what they need. So yeah, there's lots to come.
Watch this space. Let's go. Yeah. And I guess thinking with all that growth and as any business that's in super growth mode, there's a whole heap of challenges that I guess come with that. What are the ones that you've gone, oh, that was a biggie, and how have you kind of overcome that? I can think of a couple, but I'm curious about what it is for you.
Yeah, I think obviously connecting and building a culture that's consistent across all markets and onboarding, the team in a way that they feel connected. I know personally, thinking about being onboarded digitally into a business where you may need the help of IT, but you've never met IT, is a really, hard experience. So I think, that piece and learning how to connect is really important. I think the other challenge, and it's the same in any business, but communication, we're constantly in the process of storming because we've always got new people coming on board in a new market. So I think for us, it's just that continual learning about how do we communicate better as a team? How do we make sure that every market, is included and feels a part of it and consistent, and we don't always get it right, but it's something we're working pretty hard at, but we're very lucky. We've got an amazing team. We have a really supportive people function in our business that is all about, taking care of our people, hand delivering t-shirts to try and make Mania as fun as they can. So we're pretty lucky in that way. We've got a pretty great culture.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And I guess for you, so you've had some changes this year as well. How do you manage your work-life balance with everything that you've got on your plate?
I know. Throw a baby and a puppy all at the same time. What is it? You either have a baby, buy an air fryer, or get a puppy. So I don't have an air fryer, but I've got the other two. I think it's hard. I think, it's probably going to sound a little bit cliche, but I don't necessarily believe in work-life balance. I think it's a bit of a seesaw that swings both ways. I think, I think if you love what you do, they kind of intertwine. I think one of the real learnings and I guess some of the positive things that have come out of the pandemic is probably normalizing, working from home, but also the family dynamics, seeing a child walk through the middle of a Zoom call or a puppy pop up in the background is actually not a rare occasion now. So I think from my perspective, I think it's just about it's about knowing when you need to take a break, especially when you're working from home. When I first was in lockdown that first time around, I was sort of working at my dining room table, but for the sake of my marriage, I moved into an office, which it's good to have a clean break of those two things. But I think, I think it's about knowing when you need to take a break, and I think, it's being flexible. I don't think painting everybody with the same brush, because work-life balance means something different to everybody. And I think for us, it's about how do we provide that level of flexibility. Some of our team may have to take a call at 9:30 at night with the UK, but, they might, start at 11 o'clock the next morning because they're going to watch their child at a, daycare recital, for example. So I think for us, it's just about how do we keep that flexibility, make sure we're providing boundaries for our team, and working with them and making sure that they give, as much attention to their personal life as they do to their work environment. So, that's probably not a perfect answer, but.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm just wondering when you're going to buy an air fryer, which is clearly coming up soon.
I'm not super handy in the kitchen. I'd probably have to learn how to use one first. But if this level goes on for any longer, we might tackle that one.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just also curious about. I know we've talked about this a little bit through the last few minutes, but just in terms of, I guess, your own personal thoughts around the future of, say, commerce and e-commerce or the world of digital in general. What are your, I guess, have you got any thoughts or insights that you'd like to share?
I think we're still in for a huge amount of growth. I mean, when you think about 2020, in New Zealand alone, it was still only, our online sales only contributed 11% of total sales. And when you look at the likes of the UK and the US, sitting around that 20% mark, I think you find there's still a lot of growth to come in this space, which is really exciting. And like we spoke about, you're going to see more brands, doing it differently, selling products online that they probably didn't before. So I think you're going to continue to see that, which is pretty exciting. I think there'll be, like I said, don't underestimate in-store. I think in-store is still going to come back as a vengeance, and how brands connect that in-store experience to online, the role of, contactless delivery and click and collect and these types of things will still start to play a pretty big part. So I think for us, more e-com growth, more innovation in that space, buy now, pay laters, probably in places you've not seen them before. I think you'll see probably a combination of all of those things, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. And I guess just to kind of almost wrap up, really, to be honest, is there any sort of advice that you would give businesses that are entering into the digital space, or any merchants at all that are thinking about maybe entering into the online space? Any sort of advice that you would give them?
Do it would be number one. do it now. But look, I think when it comes to buy now, pay later in particular, I think it's really important. Buy now, pay later is not going to go anywhere. I think this is the way consumers are choosing to pay now. So I think it's important that you give your consumers that choice. I think you've got a lot of different options out there. Options are good. I think, you will most likely, be offering multiple. I think just look at how you give your, consumers variation and differences in the product, and cater to different kinds of consumers and lifestyles. For example, look at, we're a weekly provider, you've got different options. So just make sure you're covering all your bases and giving consumers those options. Buy now, pay later is a lifestyle enabler. So make sure that you've got that product offering. That would probably be my biggest. And just do it. There's some amazing stories of some incredible brands who have done the most insane things in the middle of a pandemic, launching, online websites that, they've sat on for 3 years that they did in 3 minutes. So I think, just do it and do it quickly, and try and do it before November hits, because, the Cybers and Singles Day is the 11th, and I'd want to be trading by then.
Yeah, and the silly season's coming up too. Yeah, cool. Hey, Mandy, it has been so good to talk to you today, and really great to hear about the growth of Laybuy, the success, all of your insights, super, super, super valuable, and yeah, and hear what's coming up for the future of Laybuy. And also you, it's awesome. It's been really cool to talk to you. Thank you so very much.
Hopefully in person soon.
Yes, hopefully in person. Fingers crossed in the next few weeks we can start to mingle with one another. But it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so very much.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.